And plus, they're adding different minerals into the water.
And anyway, if you
it's
boil
not just
water, what happens to the water? You're
boils.
purifying it.
Yes.
So heated water inside of a bottle is still water, but even better. But don't drink it like that.
But why be making those little water molecules?
Because it wants to evaporate. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. We're super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit that red subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 50K. And we cannot get there without you guys. All right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Coca-Cola's brand of bottled water. It is basically Coke without the syrup. Like most American bottled water, it is tap water that's been purified and then had tiny amounts of minerals deliberately added back into it. Except, not quite. This is a British Dasani bottle from 2004, which is the first and last time that you could ever buy Dasani water in the UK. And the story of why it failed here is one of the greatest marketing disaster stories in history. But it wasn't until I started searching through newspapers and TV shows from 2004, that I found that the tale is a little more complicated than I thought. A little more complicated than a lot of the world thought. And it starts years earlier.
Before we even get into this video, Dasani water will leave you thirsty for more water.
It's a trick. That's a trick to it. You drink the water. You think that
thirsty.
You think after running and playing hard and do what you got to do, you hydrated, but you actually get dehydrated to want more water.
Yeah.
What?
Sales trick.
Crazy.
In the 1980s, bottled water was something expensive that got ordered at fancy restaurants, and it was only by the early 90s that it had started to become a thing that everyday people might want to buy. On Christmas Day, 1992, British sitcom Only Fools and Horses made fun of that trend by having its main character, lovable rogue Del Boy, sell tap water from South London as Peckham Spring bottled water. It's a slow and old-fashioned comedy by today's standards, and the episode is really weirdly paced. You're two-thirds of the way through before anyone actually starts bottling water. But because it was the Christmas Day episode in 1992, back when most British households only had 4 channels of television, that show was watched by more than 20 million people. More than a third of the entire British population.
What a time to be on
The final
TV.
joke of that episode is that the water is contaminated by some chemical barrels that Del Boy dumped in a local pond in the first act. It is, to be fair, a brilliant closing gag, and it's one that's stuck in the British psyche.
It's glowing.
The BBC reran the episode over 5 times in the years after. It'll have been on cable and satellite channels many more times than that. I would guess that by 2004, when Dasani launched, about half of the country, maybe more, could understand Peckham Spring as a reference, or at least remember that time Del Boy tried to bottle tap water. Now, under UK law, mineral water is a protected term. Mineral water must come from a certified underground spring. It must not be chemically treated in any way, and it's generally under heavy regulation. And back in 2004, the perception was that bottled water meant mineral water. Why else would you buy it? It's something you can't get at home. Over in America, though, the home of Coca-Cola, the perception of bottled water was that it was just that. It was water in a bottle. You were paying for the
this whole video would have
convenience
messed up
and
if you
the
would have dropped that.
It didn't really matter whether that came from the ground or from a water purification factory. To be fair, there are large parts of America where the tap water does not taste or smell good, and their federal standards aren't great, particularly compared to Europe. And anyone who has ever taken a vacation to Disney World, for example,
have his own taste.
will know that the tap water around Orlando can smell a little sulphury. But in the UK...
Yeah, so we don't have like tap water all around like in other countries. We do have water fountains, and
Don't we call that tap water though?
yeah, but like what I saw, like pictures that I've seen, I don't remember which country it was in, but pictures I've seen, it looked different than ours. And we also have, like, for dogs, we have the water fountains, but
they ain't drinking tap water.
Yeah, it's tap water.
I was drinking tap water.
The water fountain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
School tap water.
Yes.
What about water hose tap water?
Yeah.
Everything is tap water, babe.
Yeah.
Hey.
Unless it's in the bottle from a spring.
But I don't know, like, if we really know whether or not it is. We just drinking it.
Nah, we know.
I have
read the
tasted,
labels.
unless there's...
That's why I don't just get any bottled water.
Facts, but unless it's one of these... Darn it. Unless it's one of these bottles... Oh, maybe one of these waters that have, like, electrolytes in it or something. That you could taste that.
Yeah.
Like...
But no, a real water drinker can taste the different waters. Because Dasani, all I taste is something.
Water's not. It's not supposed to have a. It's not supposed to have a taste.
Water have a taste, and when
not
you're a
supposed
real
to have
water drinker, you know the taste.
Like when you're real thirsty, maybe.
Like Ozarka does not taste like Pure Life.
Ozarka has a taste.
Yeah, like spring. Look,
It's supposed to.
we're gonna do a water test.
It's supposed to be like the air you breathe, like filtered.
It's not,
supposed
though.
to feel
it's
and taste.
Areas.
Different area codes. Okay. Okay.
The perception was different. You were buying mineral water because it was natural. It had been filtered through rocks for eons. It was classier and fancier.
For people like you who like that.
That's rubbish. Of course, we have some of the safest tap water in the world, and did back then too, but advertising is powerful, and the idea was that bottled water was filtered and pure straight from the earth. It was somehow better. Coca-Cola were trying to introduce an American-style filtered tap water to a British mineral water market. Now, they were not lying about their water. Their marketing didn't use the phrase tap water. They preferred purified water, but they weren't lying. It says on the back of the bottle, their process precisely delivers pure, still water. The public might have assumed it was mineral water, but Coca-Cola never said that. In fact, what they had done is spend a long time with focus groups, taste testing and refining the mineral balance and the flavour of the water, making a version of Dasani that was ideal for the British palate. Dasani...
Water tastes
Somebody give me a cup, man. So I can look at my water and smell my water.
It does taste different.
Drink my water and then...
Let us know, do you think water tastes different? Bottled water.
I think what's making the water taste different is the plastic. Bro, that's not funny. That was a real comment. You're not playing with you. I'm not playing with you.
It was the first stage of what was going to be a £7 million advertising campaign on February 10th, 2004, and it went okay.
If you think about it, the plastic has an expiration date.
Oh my God, but that's not the reason.
So why do water need because all right, so a bag of chips has an expiration date because of what's inside the chip, the bag, right? A plastic bottled water has expiration date because of what's inside the plastic.
Yes, but it's how
But why does the water needs to have an expiration date if it's simply water?
Okay, so I think the bottle has something to do with it. Like if you leave water out in the heat, it's not safe really to
Still water.
drink. It's a lot that goes into it, and plus they're adding different minerals into the water.
And anyway, if you
boil
water, what happens to the water? You're
boils.
purifying it.
Yes.
So heated water inside of a bottle is still water, but even better. But don't drink it like that.
But why are we making those little water molecules?
Because it wants to evaporate.
For weeks, the British public either didn't notice or didn't care that it was tap water, the same way Americans don't seem to care. There were occasional rough patches for the launch, like shopkeepers in Buxton, a town famous for its mineral water, complaining about being forced by their contracts with Coca-Cola to replace bottles of the local water in coolers with Dasani. Or the regulators launching an investigation into whether Coca-Cola should be using the word pure on the label. But on the whole, it went okay. A lot of articles written more recently claim that Coca-Cola's first blunder was copying an American Dasani slogan, "Can't live without spunk," which has a very different meaning in the UK.
Taking stuff.
But I don't think that's true. The only actual evidence I could find of that slogan is a screenshot on one tech news website that liked innuendo. Looks like a web designer reused some American ad images in one part of a Flash-based website that almost no one saw. No other article from the time, that I can find anyway, mentions that slogan at all. You know, the advertising was put together by Coca-Cola's UK division. They're not stupid. In fact, the advertising team was probably breathing a sigh of relief. All things considered, the launch had been successful. And then it all went wrong. Very, very quickly. Exactly 3 weeks after launch, March the 2nd, most of the major British newspapers simultaneously put out big stories announcing that Dasani was bottled tap water. Most of them mentioned that episode of Only Fools and Horses, and all of them made a lot of noise in quiet.
This reminds me of the Lorax.
The Lorax.
Remember the Dr. Seuss movie when they were bottling air or something like
Selling
that?
air to people.
Yeah. That's what this reminds me of.
That's crazy. Like, that's... Coca-Cola was selling bottled water, but it was tap water. And from the beginning, he said that the tap water wasn't really clean water. It was actually some bad water.
Yeah, because they have clean water already. So they're like, why are they bottling the water that we have and selling it to us? They thought that it was coming out of a spring, you know?
But imagine only having 4 channels, and then you are aired on one of these channels where you have water that's introduced to the community, to everybody, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, people, over 20 million people, I believe you said, they're going to want to buy that. You're going to think of the money first, you're not going to think about the people. You're going to be like,
they was wrong for that.
This
should be on one of our episodes that we watch about the different countries failing.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
That it was a rip-off, although perhaps they didn't put it in quite so few words. And back when a lot of people actually read physical newspapers, front-page news saying that your product is a rip-off does make a big difference to sales. But why was it suddenly news everywhere at the same time after 3 silent weeks? The missing piece of the puzzle is one journalist called Graham Hiscott, who worked for the Press Association. And as he tells it, as part of a brilliant half-hour documentary made later that year, he happened to be flipping through an issue of The Grocer, an industry magazine, at work one day. And, that's an event that the documentary asked him to recreate for some reason. Now, The Grocer is an ideal source for journalists looking for the next story about a product recall or a weird marketing strategy, and that issue of the magazine had a feature on bottled water. And there was just one line in one article describing Dasani as a mineral-enhanced treated tap water, which when written so clearly seemed odd. So Graham called Coca-Cola and they said, yes, Dasani is treated tap water from the main supply at their bottling plant right there in Sidcup, South London, 10 miles from Peckham, where that episode of Only Fools and Horses was set. A few hours after that phone call, there was an article on the Press Association Newswire about where Dasani came from. Articles on the Newswire don't usually go straight to the public, they go to other journalists first who can use them or adapt them. And the editors at most of the newspapers correctly decided that yes, this was something their readers would be interested in. 6 months earlier, when Coca-Cola was setting out preparations for their Dasani launch, The Grocer had run a small article about it. And there's a line in there that's prophetic. One senior buyer warned that some consumers may be put off by the water's lack of provenance. And now, Coke bottles tap water for 3,000% markup was on the front pages. But Coca-Cola and Dasani soldiered on. That didn't kill the brand. They put more marketing budget behind it. They gave away free bottles in supermarkets. Another article in The Grocer from back then quotes Coca-Cola's UK marketing director. There cannot be many people who do not know about Dasani now. I cannot imagine how much we would have had to spend to get that level of awareness. There is a theory that there's no such thing as bad publicity, after all.
Bad publicity.
Yeah, this is another one of those not doing enough research into the culture.
Yeah.
And I guess you would say, basically the culture, like, y'all have tap water readily available to y'all that is safe to drink. Us, not so much. Like in areas such as like Flint, Michigan, like their water is, what's the word? Polluted.
Contaminated.
Yeah.
They'll
a
cut
lot of
off,
people died.
Yeah, they'll cut off the water supply and let no one get any type of water. Mississippi, they'll cut it off before anybody gets to drink it, wash their hands, body, anything before they give them tap water.
Yeah.
Like, so that's big though, like.
Yeah. So remember when we had the snowstorm, 2 years ago, I believe that was?
Mm-hmm.
And because the power grid went out, when we turned on the water wasn't safe to drink because the water hadn't been treated at the plants.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, we had to go searching for some water. Everybody took the water off the shelf.
Water was off the shelf.
Yeah,
Dasani was selling.
Yeah, for real. Nobody wanted the Dasani. Dasani was the only thing there.
The only thing in the stores, y'all. Kid you not. But it started going too slow.
Yeah, because people was thirsty.
They stay thirsty.
The final nail in the coffin was the contamination. They'd had a bad batch of calcium chloride delivered right here. Ooh. It's one of the chemicals they use in the purification process, and tests revealed that their water contained above the legal limits of bromate, a cancer-causing chemical. There wasn't anywhere near enough in the water to do harm, but there was enough that it was outside the legal limits. So within 24 hours, every unsold bottle was recalled back here, and the shelves were empty. Just like Del Boy, not only had Coca-Cola sold tap water in a bottle, but they sold contaminated tap water in a bottle. Dasani never returned to shops, never launched in France or Germany like they were planning, and to this day, if you type Dasani into Google UK, you get results about the disaster. News reports from 2004 on the first page. Coca-Cola launched other water brands, of course, but as far as I can tell, they all look to be spring waters or mineral waters. They're not hooking up a purifier to the tap. Not over here. There are other folks selling purified tap water, of course, but that's usually the cheap option on the shelf.
Yep.
Not that it matters. Options. It's all just water. And I reckon Coca-Cola could absolutely have made this work. Maybe they still could. There is a world in which one journalist didn't use the words tap water, or another journalist didn't happen to look at one particular article, and where the launch went just fine, and Britain got used to the fact that drinking bottled, purified tap water could be normal. After all, if it had been a popular brand, no one would want to admit that their purchases might be questionable. It's a lot easier to just say, yeah, that's fine. Of course, I know it's tap water. Then go, hang on, I've been paying how much for what? And worry that you might have been ripped off. I don't think the Dasani disaster was inevitable. But it happened. And all that's left, 16 years later, is a few bottles like this.
Okay.
So what happens to these people that do, sketchy stuff like that? Do they go to jail?
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe
like when these recalls are definitely a bad rep. Sales is gonna go down. You feel me? So like, does the recall thing happen to the point where like, okay, they get a recall, they find out that the dude was doing some sketchy stuff. What is the repercussions to that?
Right, I don't know. Maybe class action lawsuit if somebody is real sick. I wonder. So you guys don't like Dasani. I wonder, do you like the other Coke products? Just want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our join feature for our VIP members if you like to become a VIP member. Check out the description box for more information. We'll see you soon.
Peace.